Hello and welcome to a readaptation film of the play Sorry Wrong Number. This film takes place in the present time in the summer of 1943, in New York, where a now old Surgeon Duffy explores an old and personal case. Because it's set in the past and present time, there are frequent flashbacks. There are also the use of operators. Since technology wasn't yet advanced, they use a system of switchboards. So we ask that you sit back and enjoy the film. Good afternoon.
Nice to see you again, sir. Okay, here it is.
Thank you.
With all due respect, sir, why do you want this file? I mean, this happened, 60 years ago?
70.
Pardon?
Happened 70 years ago. Summer of, I think, 43.
Oh dear.
Your call, please.
I've been dialing Murray Hill 40098 for the last 3/4 of an hour, and the line is always busy. I don't see how it could be busy that long. Will you try it for me, please?
Murray Hill, 40098. One moment, please.
I don't see how it could be busy all this time. It's my husband's office. He's working late tonight, and I'm all alone here in this house. My health is very poor, and I've been feeling so nervous all day.
Ringing Murray Hill, 40098.
Hello? Hello, is Mr. Stevenson there?
Hello? Hello, George?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Who's this? What number am I calling, please?
We have heard from our client. He says the coast is clear for tonight.
Yes, sir.
Where are you right now?
In a phone booth?
Okay, you know the address. At 11 o'clock, the private patrolman goes around the bar to 2nd Avenue for a beer. Be sure that all the lights are downstairs or out. There should be only one light visible from the street. At 11:15, the subway train crosses a bridge. It makes a noise in case the window is open and she should scream.
Oh, hello. What number is this, please?
Okay, I understand.
Make it quick, a little blood as possible. Our client does not wish to make her suffer long.
A knife okay, sir?
Yes, the knife will be okay. And remember, remove the ring and the bracelet and the jewelry in the bureau drawer. Our client wishes it looks like a simple robbery.
Okay, again.
Oh, how awful, how unspeakably...
Your call, please.
Operator, I've just been cut off.
I'm sorry, madam. What number were you calling?
Why, it was supposed to be Murray Hill 40098, but it wasn't. Some wires must have crossed. I was cut into a wrong number, and I just heard the most dreadful thing. A murder, and... Operator, you'll simply have to retrace that call.
I beg your pardon, madam. I don't quite...
Oh, I knew it was a wrong number, and I had no business listening. But there were these two men, these cold-blooded fiends, and they were going to murder somebody, some poor, innocent woman, who was all alone in a house near a bridge. And we've got to stop them. We've got to...
What number were you calling, madam?
That doesn't matter. That was the wrong number, and you dialed it, and we've got to find out who it was immediately.
But madam,
Oh, why are you so stupid? Look, it was obviously a case of some slip of the finger. I told you to try Murray Hill 40098 for me. You dialed it, but your finger must have slipped, and I was connected with some other number, and I could hear them, but they couldn't hear me. Now, I simply fail to see why you can't make that same mistake again, on purpose. Why couldn't you just try and dial Murray Hill 40098 in the same careless sort of way?
Murray Hill 40098. I will try to get it for you, madam.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Murray Hill 40098 is busy.
You didn't try to get that wrong number at all. I asked explicitly, and all you did was dial correctly.
I'm sorry, madam. What number were you calling?
Can't you for once forget what number I was calling and do something specific? Now, I want you to trace that call. It's my civic duty. It's your civic duty to trace that call, to apprehend those dangerous killers. And if you won't,
I will connect you with the chief operator.
This is the chief operator.
Chief operator, I want you to trace a call. A telephone call, immediately. I don't know where it came from or who was making it, but it's absolutely necessary that it be tracked down because it was a murder. Yes, a terrible, cold-blooded murder of a poor innocent woman tonight at 11:15.
I see.
Can you trace it for me? Can you track down those men?
It depends, madam.
Depends on what?
It depends on whether the call is still going on. If it's a live call, we can trace it on the equipment. If it's been disconnected, we can't.
Disconnected?
If the parties have stopped talking to each other.
Oh, but of course they must have stopped talking to each other by now. That was at least 5 minutes ago, and they didn't sound like the type who would make a long call.
Well, I can try tracing it now. What is your name, madam?
Mrs. Stevenson, Mrs. Albert Stevenson. But listen,
And your telephone number?
Plaza 32098. But if you go on wasting all of this time,
And what is your reason for wanting this call traced?
my reason? Well, for heaven's sakes, isn't it obvious? I overhear 2 men. They're killers. They're planning to murder this woman. It's a matter for the police.
Have you told the police?
No, how could I?
You're making this check into a private call purely as a private individual?
Yes, but meanwhile,
Well, Mrs. Stevenson, I seriously doubt whether we could make this check for you at this time on your say-so as a private individual. We'd have to get something official.
oh, for heaven's sakes, you mean to tell me I can't report a murder without getting tied up in all this red tape? Why, it's perfectly idiotic. All right, then I will call the police. Ridiculous.
Your call, please.
The police department. Ringing the police department.
Police Department, Precinct 43, Duffy speaking.
Police department? Oh, this is Mrs. Stevenson. Mrs. Albert Smith Stevenson of 53 North Sutton Place. I'm calling up to report a murder. I mean, the murder hasn't been committed yet. I just overheard plans for it over the telephone. Over a wrong number that the operator gave me. I've been trying to trace down that call myself, but everyone is so stupid. And I guess in the end, you're the only people who could do anything.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a private patrolman on the street. He was going around to get a beer on 2nd Avenue. And there was some third man, a client, who was paying to have this poor woman murdered. They were going to take her rings and her bracelets and use a knife. Well, it's unnerved me dreadfully. And I'm not well.
I see. Now, when was all this, ma'am?
About 8 minutes ago. Oh, then you can do something? And you do understand?
And your name?
Mrs. Stevenson. Mrs. Albert Stevenson.
Address?
53 North Sutton Place, and that's near a bridge. The Queensboro Bridge. You know, and we have a private patrolman on our street and 2nd Avenue.
And the number you're calling, please?
Murray Hill 40098. But that wasn't the number I overheard. I mean, Murray Hill 40098 is my husband's office. He's working late tonight, and I was trying to reach him to ask him to come home. I'm an invalid, you know, and it's the maid's night off, and I hate to be alone. Even though he says I'm perfectly safe as long as I have the telephone right beside my bed.
We'll look into it, Miss Stevenson, and see if we can check with the telephone company.
But the telephone company said they couldn't check the call if the parties had stopped talking.
Oh, yeah?
Personally, I feel you ought to do something far more immediate and drastic than just check the call. What good does checking the call do if they've already stopped talking? By the time you track it down, they'll already have committed the murder.
We'll take care of it, lady, don't worry.
I'd say the whole thing calls for a search, a complete and thorough search of the whole entire city. I'm near a bridge. I'm not far from 2nd Avenue. And I know I'd feel a whole lot better if you sent around a radio car to this neighborhood at once.
And what makes you think the murder's going to be committed in your neighborhood, ma'am?
Oh, I don't know. The coincidence is so horrible. 2nd Avenue, the patrolman, the bridge.
2nd Avenue is a very long street. And do you know how many bridges there are in the city alone? Not to mention Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, and the Bronx. And how do you know there's not some little house out on Staten Island on some little 2nd Avenue you never heard about? How do you know they were even talking about New York at all?
But I heard the call on the New York dialing system.
How do you know it was a long distance? Telephones are funny things. Look at it this way. Supposing you hadn't broken in on that telephone call. Supposing you'd got your husband the way you always do. Does this murder make a difference to you?
I suppose not, but it's so unhuman, so cold-blooded.
A lot of murders are committed in this city every day, ma'am. If we could do something about them, we would stop them. But a clue of this kind is so vague. It's not much more use to us than no clue at all.
But surely,
Unless you have some reason for thinking this call's phony and someone wants to murder you.
me? Oh no, I hardly think so. I mean, why should anybody? I'm all alone, all day and night. I see nobody except the maid, Eloise. She's a big 200-pounder. She's too lazy to bring up my breakfast tray in the morning. And the only other person is my husband, Albert. He's crazy about me, adores me, waits on me hand and foot. He's scarcely left my side since I took sick 12 years ago.
Well, then there's nothing for you to worry about, is there? If you just leave the rest of it to us, ma'am.
But what will you do? It is so late. It's nearly 11 o'clock.
We will take care of it.
Will you broadcast it all over the city? And send out squads? And warn your radio cars to watch out? Especially in suspicious neighborhoods like mine.
Lady, I said we'd take care of it. Just now, I have a couple of other matters here on my desk that require my immediate...
Oh, idiot. Now he'll think I'm a fool. Oh, why doesn't Albert come home? Why doesn't he?